Okay, my name is Jim, giving an update on the Hive situation. Okay, so all the months, going back to a little over a year ago, when I put that bottom screen board in there on the farm bees, the original hive that I got in 2024, in April. Um, that hive was so hard to keep alive from almost from the get-go. Just it was a high maintenance, you know, duty. And so when the drones started being laid in spring, the mites came back. I had not seen any for 3 months, from maybe February, March, maybe from March until maybe June. And then the varroa mites started coming on pretty high, pretty heavy on the farm queen. Farm queen is what she is, and it was. And so I started the powder shaking, and that queen just never stopped laying eggs. She never took those breaks that are really important. Powder shaking, it has its limitations. If you have a farm queen that just, her only focus is to lay eggs constantly, 24/7, 7 days a week, 365, because that's what she did. She laid them all through the winter. There was navigations going out all the time. When there was a nice enough day, the bees were out navigating all through the winter, 2024 and 2025 in spring. And so when those mites came on again, I didn't have enough time to do the powder shaking all the time, because when they come on like they did, it's really important to do that powder shaking like every 4 days. I just couldn't. There would go weeks go by and I just couldn't get around to it. And so they were really healthy. They looked pretty good until also 1 week after a powder shake. There was a lot of bees in there at that time. Looked pretty heavy. But a week later, something didn't look right. There wasn't as many bees out in the front guarding from the wasps and stuff like that, and the marauders. So I popped the top, and I didn't see hardly any bees in that hive. And there was 2 boxes at that time. And so what I did was I combined those 2 boxes. There was a brood and a super that was left with my swarm that I caught. Now, I knew that there might be a problem with the DWV virus spreading. But after watching the swarm that I caught for 6 months and how well she laid her eggs, she would take those 2-week breaks, sometimes 3 weeks, and she did that for 6 months. So my thinking was, what I'll do is I'll combine those 2 boxes that where the hive died out. Now the queen was still alive. I found her. She ended up on the ground eventually. I combined the 2 hives. Right, I put what's called a double screen board in between the swarm and the farm queen, and so after I got done doing that, I noticed that the queen from the farm queen was on the ground in front. she looked sick, she looked unhealthy, she looked ungroomed, she was lethargic, barely moving around. So I'm suspecting most likely she came down with an infection. I did not see her. I didn't see any navigation for about a month or maybe 6 weeks on the original hive. So she was sick for a while, and so she stopped laying eggs. Of course, the hive quickly dwindled, and so that's what I was witnessing. And so I just put her in a little clamp cage, queen cage thing, and put her on the top, and found her dead the next day. And so just to see what happens, I'm curious like that. She was inside the hive on the top where the vent comes out on the divider board on the top, and she was alive at that time. The next day she was gone. She was dead. And so good riddance. I was going to pinch her out anyway. Those farm queens, they are bred to mass produce, and that makes it very difficult to manage a hive to keep the viruses and varroa mites and stuff like that way down or to zero. So my swarm that I caught, every time I inspected the drop board, there was no bromites for 6 months. Now there was a couple, they probably just brought them in, they dropped off. But if you only see like 4 or 5 mites for half a year, you know that she's doing a good job, and those mites are not able to reproduce and get started, right? So when I divided that, I had a suspicion that there was going to be some problems with the varroa mite infection. And so sure enough, 3 weeks later, for the first time in a half a year since I had these bees, this swarm I caught, I seen girls out in the front here with no wings. Some of them had wings that they looked like little sticks, like slivers sticking out. That's what DWV looks like. And so, so what I did is I just been monitoring it. So it's been about 3.5 weeks since I put it all together, put the 2 hives together. And most of the bees that were in the original hive, the farm bees, those were dead when I went to take out the divider screen board. They were mostly dead on the divider screen. That's when the queen fell out. And so, for about I don't know, 4 days, 5 days here now in a row, I've seen some problems, some sickness with some bees out every day, new ones. What I would do is I would blow this area clean after I got done picking up the bees, blow the area clean so I can see the next day what bees are roaming around. And today is the first day. Well, there's one. So I see one. So it's dwindling. So 3 days before today, so yesterday and the day before, there was long duration orientation flights going on. So I'm thinking what she did, so those varroa mites infected that particular batch. When she laid those eggs, when I combined them, and those varroa mites and the infection got in there, she was laying eggs at that time. So the varroa mites got into those cells, infected those bees there, and I suspect she hasn't probably laid any more eggs though for 3 weeks. Yesterday when I pulled the panel, there was like about 30 varroa mites in there. Some were alive, some were dead. And so today I just see the one. I see just the one. Just the one. So what's happening is these wasps are coming and they're attacking these sick bees on the ground, and I don't want that. I want and then they carry their parts away and all that. Sometimes they just carry them away, still alive. And so what I want is I want those bees to stay here so I can see that precipitous drop in the bees out front. So I'm averaging about 7-8 bees a day that look sick or have no wings. Most of them are just sick. There's only a few that actually didn't have wings, or they were deformed wings. Only a few. That's good. So now the honey there was about 100 pounds of honey, and so from the original hive, from the farm bees, and that's why I combined them. I don't use honey for anything, so I took a gamble. I gambled, but it was an educated gamble, because the way I monitored her, the swarm girl that I caught from nature, whether she manages that hive, will control the DWV. Now the honey has DWV in it as well. So as they eat that honey through the winter, they're going to continually be re-exposed to the virus. It's in the honey, right? Just the way it is. But I'm taking a gamble. You know, when we gamble, sometimes we win, sometimes we lose. Sometimes no one to hold them and no one to fold them. But my instinct said that because of what they were doing for 6 months, what that queen was doing for 6 months, my instinct says the gamble was worth it. I think that they're going to be fine. Of course, there's no guarantees in life, right? You observe things, you contemplate, you engage in critical analytical reasoning of what your observations are telling you, and your past experiences and observations, and you make a judgment call in life, just the way it is. oh man, if I would have just turned left instead of right, I wouldn't have gotten this accident. So yeah, so it looks good today. It looks better than yesterday. I just see the one out there. She got attacked by a wasp, and I took the wasp out. And so my hope is tomorrow I'll see none for the first time since the first hatchings since I combined the two hives. And so I suspect all the bees that were in the original hive, the farm bees, I suspect all those bees are dead. And I think they were all infected with sicknesses and other infections, not just DWV, there's other ones too. So like 12 different viruses that beehives can get that can take out a hive. And so just one today. So I come out about every day this time because I look for swarms, navigational flights, because that tells me what might be going on. So they navigate pretty much the same time. So it's they typically navigate around. So in the summertime it's around 4 o'clock. In fall it's around 2 to 3 when they come out and navigate. And so today they came out and navigated, and it was probably about 2 o'clock, or yesterday, I'm sorry, 2 o'clock yesterday, and same thing the day before and the day before. So what she's doing, I think, is she'll lay for 3 days in a row. Boom, knock them out. And then she stops for like 2 or 3 weeks. That's what I've noticed in half a year now. Really perfect. It's perfect management, right? That's what we want in a hive. Now, if someone who's raises farm bees, what they do is they actually want bees that mass produce, but they have to use all the chemicals because they spread the diseases so fast in the honey and in the when they exchange food back and forth, and the varroa mites carry it in, and it's a constant battle for those farmers. I can understand why they use chemicals. But in nature, there is no chemicals, and they manage all that stuff just fine by taking those breaks like that. There you go. Update. Here's what they look like today. They're doing just fine. They still look healthy. So about 3.5 weeks is when I combine the hives, and they look pretty good. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to that phone is crooked. I know it's not me. I know I'm crooked, but I'm not that crooked. So what I'm going to do is, excuse me, girls, come spring, I'm going to take these girls and divide them up. So I'm going to make some queens. I have some cells that I'm going to put some larvae in, a couple-day-old larvae, and then I'll probably make about a dozen. And I got these little tiny nuke boxes, and also made some 2-framers. So I'm going to try to make about a dozen, because not all queens come back. So when a queen hatches and they go out, a windshield could get them, a bird, an animal could get them, they just die. So what I'm going to do is shoot for a dozen queen cells, healthy ones, and have a dozen nuke boxes. And then if I can go into the winter next year with half a dozen beehives, I'm not going to be all that concerned with losing the hive. So this hive is number one now. This hive to survive is critical, because without this hive, I won't be able to do those splits next year. I have to buy another bee farm package. That would be bad. But actually, what I've done is I've learned how to catch these. Oh, now it's shifted the other way. So what I've done is I've learned how to catch swarms in the wild. So I've got this big forest in my back here, and there's big holes in these trees where woodpeckers pecked holes, and so bees hives are in there too, in nature. thick forest. It's called wetlands. And now that I know exactly what I'm looking for, come early spring, I'm gonna keep my baited nukes freshly baited. Always keep the spiders and the earwigs, because earwigs can get. So if, say for example, if I put my baited nuke out in the morning or one day, I need to get up in the morning, make sure there's no spiders, earwigs, or other nefarious creatures in there, because that will distract them from wanting to go in, the bees from going in there and making it their home. But it's got to be clean, no bugs, nothing that is going to kill the bees. They don't want to be swarming into a hive that can take out their queen, right? That's dangerous. So I'll be checking my baited nukes every morning, make sure that they're clean, because a swarm is not going to typically occur in the springtime like that until around 2 o'clock on average. It could be earlier, but they like to do it in midday. Gives them plenty of time to swarm up from where they're swarming from, get to their new location, get settled in for the night. They can tuck themselves in. Good night, Jimette, Louise, Suzette. Yeah, I would say Jim Bob, but those would be drones, wouldn't they? Yeah, drones are not good in a hive. I mean, you got to have them. It's important to have drones for the reproduction of the species. But if you're going to have backyard bees like here, you want to control those drones. Only takes one mite. Just come, because these mites are everywhere, and they're in nature. And it only takes one mite to come in off of that gets on a flower, waiting for a bee to come along. My bee goes there, it jumps on my bee. They can jump like this high, and jumps on my bee, and that's all it takes is just one, and your hive is infected with eventually diseases and who knows what else. And so it's really important to really keep an eye on the drop too. So when I have this screen board, so on the first sign of any varroa mites, I take action. And so next year when I have these, I kind of lost train of thought. I do that. I have since I was a child. It's really hard for me to stay focused when I was a child in school. I have dyslexia. That channel doesn't open up constantly because the chemical's not there for the signals to pass through constantly. So it hits. It's like hitting a wall, the signal, and it tries to go somewhere else. In the meantime, my brain's going, yeah, but I got these other things I need to talk about or think about. So it's looking for its path in, and eventually it finds its way. And I'm going, what were you about? I took this test to see if I had it, and there were 6 questions. If you have 2 of the 6 questions, you got dyslexia. I had all 6. I got all 6. I struggled with all 6 questions. So with the swarms next year, by keeping those nukes clean every day, and maybe even checking them in the evening once the bees are done investigating, the odds are good that I'll catch maybe 2 or 3 swarms next year. Now that I know exactly what this area, how this area is with swarms and what to look for, yeah, I'll always keep at least 1 nuke box. Say it's quiet for a month, right? Nothing. So what I'm going to be looking for, I'm going to look for signs. So the signs say, maybe I don't check it every day because there's no activity, right? So what I'll be doing is I'll have at least 1 nuke box that I keep mostly cleaned out and baited. And the first sign of any scouts going in there by the numbers, because when I caught this one here, I was noticing like 30, 40 bees going into each one of my 6 baited nukes individually, right? It's not like they went from one to another, let's check this one out. No. So there'll be like 60 in that one, at the same time there's 60 or so, or 50 in another one, all around my property, in all of my baited nukes. I was thinking, man, I'm going to catch so many of these swarms. It was actually just one hive, in all probability. And they went out in separate groups, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, whatever. Maybe in other areas around my neighborhood too. And they're all looking for that right size and location and all that. and then they swarmed right up in this tree right here. And so I'll be looking for certain signs, because I typically come out, check on things briefly on my bees, typically every day when I have to, when I find that moment in time. And so the first sign that I see a bunch of bees looking in one of my baited nukes, okay, rebait, clean out, get them all ready. I keep some in the front, so, and then boom, I'm going to be catching most likely a swarm, or 2, or 3, or 4. You never know, right? So, yeah, if I had a heads up like that last year, my instincts are that I would have been able to catch maybe 3 swarms last year. I didn't catch a swarm until middle of May, because I didn't really have the knack. I really didn't. I've seen a bunch of marauders now, and that says, oh, they're trying to get him a hive. No, they were looking for a hive in early spring. I thought they were just trying to get him a hive and, rob it. No, they were looking for a hive. I mean, to go in and swarm into in early spring. So I could have caught 3 maybe. Anyway, you get the point. And so everything is going good. I see the one bee out today that doesn't look healthy. That's a good sign. I'm going to be pulling my panel here. I'll show you. So this is really simple, right? Very simple. And so here's my panel here. Let's pull this panel out of here. Let's pull this out like this and do a little inspection. And that's what it looks like. And so I have vegetable oil on there. And so I'll be taking this and doing an inspection on that. So I'm going to slide another one in there. And I got this one over here that I just can't. Oh, that's not it. It must be in the house. In the house. And so I'll just slide this one in there. With a little hole in it. I put that on the top. This one here, put on the top when I do winter feeding. That little hole is for the vent. It's the vent hole, so that they can come in and out. Okay, there you go. Easy peasy, right? Mm-hmm. It's so easy. And so there's that. So I'll be taking that panel in and seeing how many mites. Yesterday there was about 31. Yesterday. The day before there was like 15. The day before that there was 15. So yesterday it was pretty high. That's the same panel I've been pulling in and out every day, most days. So I don't have to keep putting vegetable oil on it. So what I'll do is I'll take that in there with my big headset. It's a magnifying headset. And I'll using tweezers, I'll pick out all the bromites, and I'll dip the tip of that into hot water. So I take a little jar of water, put it in a microwave for 30 seconds, because they come off of the tweezers a lot easier than in just room temperature. And so, so I just pick all the bromites off, and then I throw that oiled panel back in there, and that's what I'm gonna do soon. Real soon, right? Pick them all up, because yesterday was pretty high. Yesterday was a high count, 31. That was high. The previous 2 days it was like 15 each day, and so 30 it's gone up. But I might have gotten closer view, so they might have been mites that I just missed. Right. So today's count is going to be a big determinant on the trajectory of the mites. And there has been times when I left it overnight, 24 hours, there was hundreds. Well, what? Hundreds in 24 hours. Yeah, that was the farm one last year. They survived just by the hair of the stinger. And so that's my day today. So please subscribe, thumbs up, ring the bell, leave a comment. This little baby channel is nothing without you subscribing. It doesn't cost you a penny. If you heard anything interesting, you know, please subscribe. All YouTubers, uh, every single one of them, the only way that they can ever go anywhere with their YouTube channel is you subscribing. You are the master of every podcast that you watch, every podcast that I watch. Now, when I'm watching someone new, and I think what they're doing or saying or character is interesting, and I can tell that they're a new podcast, those are the ones I subscribe to the most. The ones that are already making millions of dollars, they don't need no help. It's like, you know, they live in those big houses and drive all those fancy cars. But folks who are starting out podcasting, and I think what they're saying or doing or character is interesting, yeah, I'm looking for those to subscribe to those. Yep. You know, help the little guy. That's what I am, the little guy. Thumb me up and subscribe. You'll be helping the little guys. Look at it as a donation, right? But this donation doesn't cost you anything but a moment in your time. Commercials are worse. Oh my gosh, commercial after commercial. Don't those get you? It's like you can't even watch anything without just commercials constantly interrupting your flow of what you're engaging in, right? On YouTube or wherever. It's like, oh, it's overkill, man. So, all right. Well, you have a good life. Please subscribe. Good day.